Pomerantz disclosed the unconstitutional bias that drove Pomerantz, quote, he wrote this in his book, and disgusted. So Pomerantz was delighted, right, because he's a partisan hack, to help Alvin Bragg for free. Didn't even want $1. Because he felt that Trump was a good target for prosecution on whatever charges they could concoct. Show me the man, I'll show you the crime. Lev Beria, Stalin's secret chief of the secret police, personal police. The fact that a senior Bragg prosecutor, even before Bragg came in, because Bragg took this case over from Cy Vance, he believed that Trump should be subject to different, far more hostile treatment under the law. After Bragg announced his run for DA, he made improper targeting of President Trump a key part of his campaign. He attacked Trump every chance he got. He emphasized, he says, I sued President Trump more than 100 times. Bragg promised he had more experience with President Trump than most people in the world, and that he would hold President Trump accountable. Exhibit, exhibit, exhibit. In March of 2022, more than 1 year before the lawless indictment was filed by Bragg, Alvin Bragg's wife boasted about her husband's progress towards a campaign promise by reposting on social media, Mrs. Alvin. She said, oh, finally, a bit of good news in the Manhattan DA criminal case against Donald Trump, because my husband nailed President Trump on felonies, because they got nothing to live for in their lives other than just targeting Trump. In April 2022, the media confirmed that Biden was actively encouraging the prosecution of Trump. Biden had confided, they said, this was reported, remember, I think it was from the Times, that he confided to his inner circle that he believed that Trump was a threat to democracy and that Trump needed to be prosecuted, saying Biden has said privately that he wanted Garland to act less like a ponderous judge and more like a...
a short week last week, so we're just trying to get caught up.
He will not take power if he does run. I'm making sure he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president again. Then on November, Alvin Bragg then created a completely new position.
I saw your message.
At his office. Isn't that fun? Announced that he was going to fill it with Matthew Colangelo. Colangelo is a senior official at the DOJ. He put a press release that we read here and connected the dots.
He said some very derogatory things about me.
He was going to come in and work on high-profile white-collar investigations, a.k.a. Trump. The claim was patently false. Following Biden's pressure on Garland, Biden's DOJ sent Colangelo to Bragg's office for the sole purpose of targeting Trump in a new forum. They launched attacks in multiple jurisdictions. Jack Smith took it to federal jurisdictions, D.C. and Florida, and the lower level state prosecutors took Georgia and New York. Similarly, apart from this matter, the only other press release about Colangelo is one that relates to Harvey Weinstein. The DOJ sent Colangelo to Bragg's office for one reason alone: to target President Trump.
Well, just about in the type of content that I curate in general.
Now, as this all began, we remember there were a whole slew of leaks, coordinated lawfare with the Biden.
You don't think that's
leaking stuff time after time?
It's worthy of
2021 and
anybody watching.
Tons of leaks. Washington Post saying Trump's going to get indicted. There's a special grand jury. November 24.
And I put him on blast a couple times in front of some big creators for saying that, and both of them, all of them agreed with me. So now, even if I'm in his chat, he doesn't even acknowledge me.
They're leaking it 11 months later. New York Times, Politico's reporting stuff. Mark Pomerantz, that hack prosecutor.
It's unfortunate. I mean, I don't know.
More than 3 years after the investigation,
he has a right to believe what he believes, but I'm all for anybody, trying to do something. It's not like I'm trying to do this to make money either, That's the big thing.
Pomerantz grew frustrated. He said there are people in here that are trying to bring this case against them, and they're not successful, so he's losing his mind. Then in March,
no, you can watch them all you want. I'm not here to dictate that. Like I said, I still subscribe to him. I just don't find myself watching much of it anymore.
His leaked resignation letter.
If I'm super bored, I will though.
Yes, if I had to speculate.
Like I said,
he leaked it, or someone close to him released it.
My issues with him are personal.
The letter focused entirely.
I think he does do some good in that area. There's not a lot of people doing it anymore, but there's a real reason why Mario doesn't want to hang out with him anymore.
Because Pomerantz scolded him. It was an unusual public statement. Remember, it was all over the place. Like
Yeah.
a prosecutor's office to decline to charge
Yeah,
somebody.
and after he said the things he said, Midwest actually removed him as a mod.
It is so, it's misconduct. It's unethical. He shouldn't have done that, but it's New York. They don't care. So then he releases the statement, and Alvin Bragg gets scolded into resurrecting the zombie case. Less than 2 months before
He should be back on the road pretty soon. He's going to do a little bit of driving before the holidays. So
Pomerantz leaked an extraordinary amount of confidential and protected details. He wrote a book, Pomerantz, Inside Account.
Come on, dude, green light.
And harmful to Alvin Bragg's case that they argued to a federal court that the book contained information that should not have been published. Yep. And should not have been exposed. That now exposes Pomerantz to criminal liability under the city charter. Whoa! The city charter says, well, at the time the book was published, the proceeding that we were trying to protect was confidential. We had a legal obligation to maintain the grand jury secrecy while there was grand jury material in there. We tried to navigate the best we could. We sent the letter, but the book was already published. The city charter I'm referring to are these sections. It makes it a misdemeanor to violate that, which says a former employee may not disclose confidential information. Oops. So he had to invoke his Fifth Amendment because he broke the law. Break any laws when investigating President Trump? Oops, doesn't want to talk about it now. Wrote a whole book about it, but now doesn't want to talk about it. Here are some other statements by him. He said the facts surrounding the payments.
I appreciate that.
In legal terms. Yeah. Paying hush money is not even a crime.
But there's a lot of folks like that out there.
To help
So.
a candidate. Okay, so thank you.
He said,
He also said creating false business records is only a misdemeanor under New York law.
I'm only saying that because you're the only one here in chat. I wouldn't even be saying that. I'd be texting you that info or telling you personally.
To charge Trump with something other than
You're the only one in here. So.
Pomerantz said this. Bragg would have had to argue the intent to commit or conceal a federal crime converted the false into a misdemeanor. Converted it into a misdemeanor because there was another crime, and he had the intent to commit another crime. What's the other crime? Whatever you want. Pick a crime, any crime, doesn't matter. No appellate court has ever upheld that. The statutory language under which Trump was charged is ambiguous. There was a big risk that felony charges would be dismissed before.
I even gave him some computer help one time.
Investigation should have been handled by the
He professes to be an expert, but
they rejected it. Should have been handled by Bragg.
He did help. He did help
this guy's own
James
book.
Freeman build his new desktop. So we'll give him some credit there.
Prosecutors would not have to torture or massage the statutory language called the law to charge Trump as Bragg does. Federal prosecutors previously looked into Stormy porn star Daniels' hush money payment, and they didn't move forward with it. And Pomerantz knows this case is not appropriate.
Yeah, I just got a haircut, so letting the very top of it grow a little bit. Wife wants me to have a little bit of a spiky on top, so usually I was number 2.
At one point, Bragg commented that he could not see a world in which they would indict Trump, calling Michael Cohen as their star witness. It's a joke.
Yeah, he used to go out with Bao and James and Mario all the time,
and his
cop watching.
Called Michael Cohen was also running his mouth. A pretrial survey said that negative publicity against Trump means there is no chance that he could ever get a fair trial.
Something happened, and that Bao won't hang out with him anymore for some reason.
At Bragg's press conference, when he announced the charges, he made a gratuitous and prejudicial reference to matters involving sex crimes. Did he say that? Which had no relevance at all. But he wanted to say there was some sort of a sex crime possibility with Stormy Daniels. They're so dishonest and disgusting people.
Well, Duke City is Duke City discovered about him too. He figured it out. But anyway, Duke City
that's not even illegal according to your own prosecutor.
Sent me some beard butter from his buddies.
He talked about it.
Just started a company selling that and pomade and stuff. And he sent me some to give to my barber.
Wow. So
he thinks the barber will order it for wholesale use.
Bragg stated that the new theory was not money for sex, obviously, because they have to indict everybody. Bragg would, in New York, probably more than, anyways, more than they got the Diddy case too, so there's a lot going on there. Bragg would instead echo Smith's ill-fated and unsupported theory.
Yeah, they might be a sponsor too for me, so I'm kind of working on that still before I start talking about it too much.
Remember that? We covered a lot of that story. Then Michael Cohen came out.
At least a discount code or something for me.
Michael Cohen, the convicted perjurer, sought financial benefits based on the status of this case.
Midwest is they're gonna sponsor him too.
Democrats like it when they lie about Joe's competency. Then they like it when they get lied to about Kamala's competency. Then they get lied to about Joe Biden being an honest man who would never lie to them about a pardon. And they get lied to again. And they're still defending it. It's absolute bullshit.
Yeah, I still got it nice and close. Yeah, well, so I knew what you meant.
Actual liar, adjudicated. They bring him on the show. Cohen released more than 160 podcasts during Trump's case, including a public declaration that Cohen says, "I'm not intimidated and I'm ready to strike back." Other Cohen podcast titles, he says, ex-FBI agent tells Michael Cohen why Trump is screwed. That's a good title. Former top DOJ prosecutor says Trump is screwed. That's repetitive. Reveals all to Cohen. Prosecutor who investigated Trump hits him with crushing blows. Michael Cohen pounces. Okay, Michael. Not pouncing anymore. Now, in a February 15, 2000.
Well, that sounds delicious.
Cohen claimed to be speaking on the basis of non-public evidence that Alvin Bragg had. Okay, Cohen was
actually, that gives me an idea. I'm gonna message the wife, ask her what she wants for dinner.
I know, and based upon not just the documentary evidence, but the corroborating testimony from many people, I believe that he'll be found guilty on all charges, says Cohen. Now, he does his little TikTok things where, what was he doing? Like a hot dog on his head or something? During a March podcast, Cohen made false and defamatory references to Trump. Called him a monarch, called him a dictator, called him Führer, called him supreme leader.
She doesn't get off for another hour, I don't think. Because I'm a half hour from home, so.
He said, we need to bring these billionaires to him, and he's going to do what the Saudi Arabians did. Whoa, Cohen said, he hung these MFers up. Whoa, Cohen. Cohen spewed similarly prejudicial claims to his more than 600,000 ex-followers. Not to be outdone, Stormy Daniels sought to monetize her role as well, so the porn star's like, oh, I want to get in on this. Like she usually says. As a witness, through a short-lived podcast and documentary, remember her? Stormy. NBC Universal put together, they love like degenerates. They love degenerates. Was released in an effort to maximize views and prejudicial publicity. Remember, they timed the release of the stupid documentary.
Hey, the other day it looks like MCC and whatever, Spanky Pants Live freaking media was out in your area.
They released it like it was supposed to be, 3 days before the trial.
I just saw a couple.
Released the 2-minute and 12-second trailer.
Hey, Jody. They didn't say hi. They don't ever go live though. That's the problem. You don't know they're there until the day after or so. Yeah, they went to the Rock Island City Hall too, and the jail.
On March 8th, Daniels screened her documentary at a conference in Austin. She used the platform to declare F Trump. And on March 12th, the first time Alvin Bragg's office disclosed that Stormy made $125,000 from all of that documentary. That nice NBC just funneling around $25,000. The documentary premiered in Brooklyn on March 18th, was released on Peacock the same day. It contained additional highly prejudicial false claims, including Daniels' claim that she had sought to extort money from President Trump because she was effing terrified. Said people had been suspiciously killed for political reasons. There would be a paper trail and money trail linking him to Trump so that he would not have to kill. That's what she said, basically admits. Yeah, I tried to.
Yeah, I saw a couple. I didn't watch them all the way through, just because
those two.
I've been so fucking busy. I haven't even been watching a lot of their premieres.
Democrats love and had on their podcast. Alvin Bragg committed misconduct in the trial. Actual misconduct in violation of the law. A prosecutor for Bragg's office called Susan Hoffinger repeatedly and wrongly elicited false info from Stormy Daniels, intended to suggest that Daniels' made-up encounter was non-consensual. Okay, so Stormy's story goes from Trump hired her, paid her some.
Well, that was nice of him.
One-night stand or something.
That was really cool.
Turns into an abuse case, all right, an assault case, non-consensual. He was standing over her. The court, the defense was objection, Your Honor. What? The judge sustained objections and did strike certain aspects of the testimony, but Hoffinger persisted despite the court's admonishments. And you can see the transcript there, that page, and those two pages, and that page right there. So you get it multiple times. In response to President Trump's mistrial motion, the court even acknowledged in an
That's
understatement,
awesome.
the court said,
I think I'm.
areas that would have been better if the people.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. We can stop. We get the order in now.
It also explained that Susan Hoffinger, the prosecutor, had elicited other objectionable testimony as well. And at one point, the court sua sponte objected on their own, which means the court did it. Like the court just volunteered. Because if you recall during the trial, and we were reading the excerpts here, courtesy of our friend Matthew Russell Lee, at the room detailing what was happening inside, and we saw that the judge at the outset of the testimony was telling Trump's defense team, will you just shut up with your objections, okay? You don't have to object every time. Stop it. Really? What? And the judge is like, what? Objection? I got nothing to do with anything. What? Stop it. And then the judge looked over there and was like, why did you object? And they're like, you told us not to. He's like, well, I thought you'd object to that, but you told us not to. Okay, well, start objecting. And it was like a whole thing. The court made the mistake, let the jury hear all that stuff, and it was
Not really.
unfixable. Can't recover from that.
I mean, Tony
And
Pacco has a
he also-
special pizza.
No, in 2023, federal prosecutors argued.
There's like a Tony Pacco's pizza. It's got the Hungarian sausage on it.
Michael Cohen,
The sauce is like a mustard sauce.
under oath in a court proceeding.
It's got the
federal
peppers on it and shit.
And a federal court agreed.
Besides that, not really.
They said the record gives rise to two possibilities. Okay, one, Michael Cohen committed perjury when he pled guilty in federal court in front of Judge Pauley. Either he lied there, or he committed perjury in the trial brought by Letitia James, where they also dragged him there for the civil fraud case. Now, during the same period in which Bragg was coerced.
All right, Wingstop.
Yeah, that ain't pizza. I agree. It's good though. I'll admit. I will say it's so good. All right. Now I gotta fucking deal with this shit. Ugh.
So that he could be a perjurer, prosecutors ignored the federal court's findings. They refused to even investigate Cohen. Okay, they prosecuted Weisselberg for some made-up perjury charge. A federal judge said Cohen is a liar. And they didn't care. Now, Bragg needed more lies from Cohen, and they wanted to discredit and detain Weisselberg so he couldn't hurt their case. These are sick people. They did that to a 70-year-old man who did nothing wrong. Now, at trial, Susan Hoffinger structured Michael Cohen's direct exam when she was asking him questions based on leading questions tethered to purported evidence without any content and like cherry-picked phone records. Now, Michael Cohen played along. He committed perjury yet again. He lied about a 1-minute, 36-second phone call. The direct examination was about his phone call with Trump about a payment to Daniels. Then, during cross-examination, remember, he said, I talked to Trump about Stormy Daniels. They said, no, you didn't. You called Keith Schiller because there were teenagers harassing you. You remember that? Now, to our knowledge, Cohen has only received hugs, handshakes, and pat on the back from Bragg. His perjury goes unpunished. Now, Alvin Bragg also lied about Alan Weisselberg's severance agreement. And he lied about removal proceedings, saying Bragg argued that there was no connection between some of the legal components of the case, and so you cannot take this up to federal court. The district court at the federal court relied on Alvin Bragg's false representations.
Dirty!
Saying, Alvin said, we're not going to use any official presidential acts. We're not going to talk about anything that could be immune. Of course not. And so there is no federal issue here. So the federal courts rejected it. Well, it turns out Alvin Bragg talked about all those things. And so he lied to them. Now, there is much more, as you can see. Your Honor, we're not done with you and your daughter yet there. Your Honor's daughter was a senior member of Harris's failed 2020 presidential campaign. And she made social media posts mocking Trump when he left in 2021. And in 2019, your daughter discussed a conversation that she had with you that involved criticism of Trump's use of Twitter, now X. Now, in 2020, Judge, while President Trump was in office, your Honor made improper political contributions to Biden for President, and there it is, Progressive Turnout Project, and you donated to Stop Republicans, a group that is built to resist the Republican Party and Donald Trump. Now, New York's ethics authorities issued a caution based on those contributions, which was a violation of conduct. And based on those disclosures of your donations and your daughter's work, she actively advocated against President Trump. And she got political contributions based on this case that you ran, Judge. Authentic clients, including those who were soliciting money, dispersed more than $18 million since this case began. Authentic, your daughter, even was posting happy birthday messages to Kamala Harris. Look how far we've come. So then this summer, after...
Chili five-way? Yeah, that's pretty good. We don't have a Skyline here, but I've had it a few times.
Framed her candidacy with a specific false reference to the case. She called herself the prosecutor versus the felon. The felon. Because Trump was found guilty in New York. And a lot of people will say, well, since he was found guilty, that makes him a guilty felon. And I would say, well, the conviction matures and crystallizes itself at sentencing. And if Trump is a convicted felon, how did he go and vote in Florida? This last election season, if he is a felon, I don't know how.
Jesus Christ. Hello?
Hi, we're calling from Molina Healthcare. May I speak with Rachel?
I have told you guys many times that she hasn't had this number in almost 4 years. Please stop calling. And especially when I ignore a call and you keep calling, that's harassment.
Okay, I'll go ahead and put it in there.
Yeah, I hear that every time, but you guys call back. I will be suing the next time you call.
So subsequent to President Trump's renewed recusal relating to these issues, an FEC filing by Harris.
Fucking nurse had this fucking phone
Harris was a direct
number before I did.
During the election.
Yeah, harass me, baby. I would even know how to do that shit.
On August 1st, the House Judiciary Committee sent up
I know there is a way of doing it, but
to your Honor's daughter. They wanted to know more about this relationship. saying that you're...
They just tried to give her an assignment. She was a traveling nurse that had this number and just fucking abandoned this number. And I've gotten calls for her almost every day in the last 4 years.
Work for Schiff and the Senate Majority PAC. They raised $93 million.
Normally I just ignore them, but they kept fucking calling back after I ignored like 4 times in a row.
A notice and subpoena was sent to Mike Nellis, who works with the judge's daughter. The Judiciary Committee said during Ms. Burkhan, the judge's daughter's employment,
Yeah, something like that.
Authentic got $7 million in compensation.
But now that I've warned them,
Daddy does the dirty work. Now, while your Honor's daughter and Authentic have transparently limited their social media presence, Nellis has amplified the type of bias that any reasonable observer would expect. And he does talk a lot on X. Around the same time as the Harris campaign, Nellis created a group called White Dudes for Harris, right? Which is like a perfect caricature of a white dude for Harris, like perfect fitting. Now, which reportedly raised millions of dollars, despite losing badly. Nellis recently received a Shorty Award titled Strategist of the Year for his support of that losing effort. Man, what a failure. Now, in his acceptance speech for losing so badly, as well as in a related post on X, Nellis called for acts of resistance against President Trump and urged his followers to stay in the fight. Similarly, on the day before Thanksgiving, he said,
I know to my regular number because I've got like scam protection through T-Mobile. I barely ever get a call to my T-Mobile phone, but that's my work phone. That's what
and now let's
on
talk
Verizon.
about this gag order that apparently Trump's defense team doesn't give a rip about anymore. It says since the end of the trial, the court has insisted on a gag order that is unprecedented and unsupported by Bragg's legal theory. The court has acknowledged, as it must, that the witness testimony has concluded, a verdict has been rendered, and the jury has been discharged. But nevertheless, the court has prohibited President Trump from making public statements addressing his valid concerns about the conflicts and appearances of impropriety, about Matthew Colangelo, and the financial, professional, and personal benefits your Honor's daughter has obtained based on the court's rulings in this case. So here is where they're acknowledging that Trump cannot make the public statements. So we'd have to revisit that secondary order. Did that order say the attorneys cannot make statements? Or was it only President Trump? Because I feel like it was Trump and his people. But regardless, the attorneys, as you can see here, are hammering the daughter, and rightfully so. But yes, as
Man, I don't feel bad for them all, man. They fucking go after fucking old ladies and
still
they fucking disgust me. I love watching the scam baiters. Kit Boga and the other one.
And Bragg refused to wait for this, and he violated. He should have waited because remember in the immunity issue, Judge Chutkan stayed the case. Jack Smith was not allowed to file anything while the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals settled this.
I understand if you got nothing, you're gonna resort to whatever.
They just kept everything going, and
But they're just nasty as fuck.
But he preserved that right.
Older lady of color.
They dumped all over him anyways. Now,
I still got like 10 minutes I gotta wait.
President Trump, in spite of all of that lawfare, still returned an overwhelming victory.
So yeah, I left the top alone this time, and I'm gonna slowly grow that a little bit. The wife wants me to have a little bit of spiky on top. So we're getting there. So this was a transitional cut.
Using Bragg's office and Jack Smith and others like Big Fanny. We'll get to her next tomorrow. President Trump won 312 electoral college votes compared to Harris's 226, obliterated, and he beat Harris in the popular vote by 2.5 million votes. White beans for Harris. President Trump is now fully engaged in the transition process, and Congress will certify President Trump's victory on January 6th. President Trump will be inaugurated on January 2025, and he's going to be your favorite president again. Now, they'll go through the law, and the law is in court, but there's a lot of it, so we'll fast forward through it, and we'll just hit some of the highlights. We know that Trump has presidential immunity. As we've talked about, it is something that functionally exists in America.
Yeah, that's the other guy. That's not Kid Boga, but it's the other one.
And Democrats realized they were out of options. They had no vision.
He's got a weird name.
Humor or love in their lives.
Yeah, the guy with the green and or pink hair.
Kicking them off the ballots or changing the election rules so that they never lose. Trump has immunity. In the Bragg case, they didn't candidacy. So we'll make two different types of immunity arguments. One will be the one that they wrecked regardless of his victory in 24 because they were charging conduct that was protected by immunity. They said he did bad things while he was the president. And some of those things
Pierogi.
bad and that were used in trial.
Pierogi, that's his name.
So they shouldn't have done that. Now we have a whole new set of immunity.
I just thought of it.
Because he is transitioning into the White House. So they say the OLC has already done a lot of analysis on this. A president doesn't need to defend themselves.
I think he's done a few of the combined with that other guy that does the
OLC opinions.
little
Get to the new one. They say on
the porch pirate
25th,
things where they steal things and it shoots fart spray inside their car and glitter everywhere, the glitter bombs.
And they're already dismissed case.
Those are fur babies, they're good. Hopefully they don't poop on the floor before I get home. His wife's not going to be home till like 8 p.m. She doesn't get off till 7, so.
And they said that the old opinion was a categorical prohibition and that we can't even cause this case, and so we have to dismiss it. They said it only applies to the federal cases, and when they wanted more information about, hey, what did the OLC's opinion say? They said, wait a minute, you talked to them? What did they say? What did they say about this? They were going to take their opinion and shove it down Alvin Bragg's gullet. What did they say? Oh, they said, oh, it was just a phone call. It was orally, not in writing. Yeah, so just like what? You talked on the phone? No, you didn't. Jack Smith is running and hiding. He was trying to get rid of this as quickly as he can. This intentional and unconstitutional decision to avoid creating a paper trail when they're reaching this decision and in conclusion.
Big game tomorrow night. Yeah, Lions and the
is additional
Packers.
evidence of their misguided approach to their improper.
We'll see
So you're saying
what this patchwork defense looks like.
the government agency that told you not to bring this case, and maybe maybe their opinion would have been you shouldn't have brought it in the first place because Trump was the president at the time those documents were taken. Trump was the
I live out in the boonies, so we don't usually have an issue. My Ring camera lets me know when they drop it off.
They don't want to talk
And
about it.
anybody who walks up to my driveway is on camera as soon as they get
Mr. Butler, the Secret Service,
10 feet down the driveway. Anyone who enters my properties
text
on
message,
camera instantly.
gone. Jack Smith's
Not that that's going
record's
to keep
gone.
them.
Perfect. Now the president.
Well, we'll see. Their defense has got even more decimated that last game against Chicago.
When you're transitioning in, the Constitution recognizes the states have no power under the Supremacy Clause to hamper
Hobo Appreciation Night.
even subpoenas could be considered harassment. And so to protect against these things, we invoke the Supremacy Clause as we've done here. Lots of cases being referenced, so let's fast forward. Now in discussion of why those facts and those rules, we're now going to apply the facts to the historical, we're going to apply the rules to the set of facts that we just analyzed and do some analysis. Here's what they say. As a result of the election and these timely
All
motions,
undesirables welcome.
Trump's status as the soon-to-be city
All undesirables are suddenly desirable.
to this case, and it must be dismissed. Immunity requires dismissal.
I'm getting some wings.
The
Wingstop.
president is not subject to criminal proceedings as a defendant, and Trump just won. This consideration is dispositive.
I may have
We must dismiss this case.
did a little bit of distracted driving on the way here and ordered it, but not soon enough. It's probably not going to be ready for another 10 minutes or so.
There's a categorical rule against criminal proceeding targeting a sitting president. It's so firmly rooted that they hardly even talked about it in that upper level case. Late last month, Jack Smith's office confirmed They agreed. Yeah, shoot, they said it's categorical. We have to dismiss this. The
Oh, there's a Pacos here too.
confirm
Not the original one, but
each of the three birds analyzed
right next to that
by
T-Mobile.
the OLC, they said a president might be subject to potential incarceration, to stigma,
That's actually the newest one.
versions of attention.
That one's
It's
about
why it must be categorical.
6 years old.
You can't do it. And third, criminal litigation requires personal time and energy as well. Stuff that the American people have said is better used governing the country. Now, finally,
Eastern
while
European
California
kitchen.
shields Trump from criminal proceedings, the Supreme Court has said that alternative remedies and deterrents that establish absolute immunity.
Yeah, I don't think they do franchises, but I think the family has opened up a few of them
Okay,
around town.
if you think there is a problem, like they should have done in the first place, but they never did. So, in sum, presidential immunity means you must.
Oh,
be
good
a-
chicken. Yeah, probably some of the best wings I've had.
The Presidential Transition Act confirms the same. So does the Supremacy Clause. We don't want a nightmare scenario where Fannie's and Alvin.
Let me see if they happen to be done early. I'll be right back.
Willy-nilly. Bragg knows this is true. They have been unwilling to say that this is true for political reasons. They know there are problems with separations of power, and they're burning the presidency, and they know they're doing it. So there are other reasons we should dismiss this. Office of Legal Counsel gave a whole bunch of reasons. They're talking about statute of limitations and more. And you can't just delay these cases until the end of Trump's second term either, because he'll have to be thinking about all of that. The deferral that Alvin suggested is also against the OLC. And so under the law, this case must be dismissed under New York law. The underlying records entries, they don't rise to the level of any crimes that are felony offenses. He's increasing the criminal culpability without any cause. His failure to charge anyone else in connection with this scheme says there's no serious misconduct here. The federal government declined to pursue charges against Trump. And Cohen, they said, might actually be criminally liable for other things. So there's no seriousness in these allegations, and there's no harm anyways. The Trump organization didn't make any money. They didn't defraud the government. They paid their taxes. There's no false information on their 1099. Nobody got harmed at all. The business records at issue, nothing withheld information from voters. The claims here about McDougal and other things, they're false claims. They were already made public long before the election anyway, so nobody was paying somebody off to cover this up. All of this stuff, the allegations about McDaniels and McDougal and Stormy, they were all released before the election anyways, and the evidence in this case was extremely weak. They tried to bolster Cohen's account. They resorted to a myriad of violations. They wrongfully emphasized this inadmissible evidence, which was all of Trump's official acts during his first term. They told the jury that what Trump was doing in the Oval Office was damaging and devastating. But they couldn't talk about those things, and they did. And by the way, Trump has been somebody who's been of extraordinary service to this country, and he's being targeted with political and prosecutorial misconduct. While Bragg was campaigning, he actively attacked and targeted Trump. He was the elected prosecutor, and he ran without a manner of basic
Damn.
fairness.
That dude working in there has better eyebrows than my wife.
He may have even broken the law. Now, after the charges were filed publicly, Bragg made additional improper extrajudicial statements, and they ignored Michael Cohen's perjury. By the time trial got around, New York prosecutors were willing to say and do anything to take out Trump. Bragg's hubris on the topic and their stubborn insistence of offering immune evidence resulted in damage to the institution of the presidency. Conroy misrepresented to the court that Weisselberg was unavailable to testify. Hoffinger wrongfully used Daniels, the porn star, to lie or to suggest to the jury that the act was not consensual, if it ever happened at all. These were desperate efforts, and the prosecutors manipulated this accordingly. Pre-trial polling substantiated significant concerns. 77% of New York respondents have a negative
Yeah, kinda.
opinion of President Trump. So there's no way he gets a fair trial here. And lastly, we recognize without conceding that your Honor's conclusion that this court has not faced a disqualifying conflict during these proceedings.
I love those freestyle Coke machines, though. I got me a peach Coke. Pretty good.
We recognize that you've decided that.
Oh, there's lots of them around here.
The public sees things differently. Your Honor violated applicable ethics rules by providing financial support to Trump's opponents. Your daughter publicly criticized Trump, including specific issues about using X. She worked for Kamala. She's got personal financial entanglements. She's made tens of millions of dollars working for Trump's opponents. And those people are making money off your Honor's handling of the case. Within weeks of Harris announcing her candidacy for president, they disclosed a direct payment to Authentic.
Yeah, more rainbow than whatever that other flag is.
Nellis, your daughter's partner, raised a ton of money for Harris, and he wants people to fight, be aggressive, and be ruthless. Now, it would be a Herculean, and we respectfully submit impossible task to remain impartial under these circumstances, Your Honor. We know you may have tried, but you can't. Dismissing this case rather than continuing this course of action up to the Supreme Court and others would improve the public confidence in your judicial system if you'll just do the right thing. Now, there are no victims here. The community at large is not a victim. McDougal, Daniels, they're not victims. The public suffered no harm. There was no crime here. McDougal didn't even want to publicize her story. She negotiated with AMI for a payment, and Pecker accommodated her. And Daniels,
yeah, more like that.
The porn star isn't a victim either. At best, she entered into a contract with Cohen that resulted in an exchange, a bargain for contract. Her attorney, as her attorney put it, she sought to extort President Trump. She sought to extort her campaign by exerting her leverage relating to a date uncertain. She says, well, if he loses, and he's going to lose, all the effing leverage in this case is worth zero if he loses. And if that happens, I'm going to sue you because you lost this opportunity. We know we're full of S in the media. We know that she was never threatened in Las Vegas. We know all these things, is another quote. So there is no victim. There are no additional proceedings that may take place. Your Honor, if you think you're going to schedule something else in here,
yeah, I hope so too.
It should be unnecessary to address those additional.
Still 25 minutes from home, then I gotta let the dogs out, feed the dogs.
Otherwise, you're acting outside
before I even eat, maybe clean up anything that any presents they had for us today.
They're telling the judge this. In no event may the court proceed to sentencing. Don't even think about doing it. You want to reschedule a sentencing date? Not happening. In addition to presidential immunity and the supremacy clause, federal law prohibits the court from entering a judgment.
I'll be right back.
Sentencing is the entry of judgment in a criminal case. Until then, there is no judgment. Judgment is complete when the sentence is imposed. So there you go. Okay, they're citing New York law, CPL section 1.2015. Judgment is complete when the sentence is imposed. The judgment is not complete. Therefore, the court lacks authority to take steps prior to the resolution of this. And if the court disagrees and you schedule the sentencing, we ask that you delay that for 2 weeks to give us notice, because we're going to take this up and get a federal injunction on you. So let us know what you decide to do. But the only thing you can do is dismiss this case. Signed by the incoming Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and the Associate AG Emil Bode. That's a good one. So shout out to those gentlemen for that amazing filing. And they're not playing around anymore. And it sounds like they are now raising issues that the judge told them not to raise. They're filing it in writing. And if the judge wants to scold them or come down upon them for violating the gag order, we'll see how he does that when the case should legally be dismissed. So the gag order should not be allowed anymore. Right? The case is gone. Your gag is gone. But we'll see what Rakan does on this. A very nice summary from one of the most raved cases that you've ever seen. And it was done by the Democrats. It was done by the Biden White House orchestrating, sending Matthew Colangelo into Bragg's office. The zombie case was resurrected multiple times. Several prosecutors resigned through whiny fits about it because they were all working to take out their political opponent. Prosecutors in America conspiring to imprison their political opponent because they are so incapable of governing with any competency that they can't create a movement of people who want to support them. So they have to take out the other people who don't. And this is great news. We're going to be here continuing to cover this. We'll see what Judge Mercan does. We'll see if Alvin Bragg responds to this. And we'll be waiting a dismissal right here.
All right. Smells good.
All right. So
Chicken wing, chicken
not
wing.
done yet, my friends. We've got some more business to attend to here. And let's talk about
Shaving the tires.
the Hunter Biden pardon. Because, man, this is another good one. And the judge is furious in this one. Federal judge is furious with Hunter Biden. He is now asking for his case to be dismissed. Of course, we know that the government wants his case to be terminated because the pardon doesn't mean that Hunter's case was brought without any probable cause or that the grand jury was off the mark. No, it was all legitimate. The only reason it's going bye-bye is because it's being terminated because Daddy had to step in to save Hunter. Now, the federal judge in the tax case out of the Central District of California, not happy about how all this went down, and he's lacing into him. Here's what he said. He said, on December 1st, 2024, Robert Hunter Biden, and in this case, Hunter's already taken a guilty plea. He did not go to trial because he did not want all of his dirty laundry to be aired out. Then right before sentencing, Daddy Joe came in, pardoned him on both cases in Delaware and in California. Now, in Delaware, the judge there terminated the case. Hunter was fighting to get those charges dismissed so he could say my case was dismissed, but now he's not going to be able to say that there because the judge caught on to him there. Judge Orica for Delaware. Here is what California says. We got notice from his daddy that Hunter Biden provided notice that his daddy, President of the United States, issued a full and unconditional pardon to Hunty. Now, rather than providing a true and correct copy of the pardon with the notice, Biden provided a hyperlink to a White House press release with a statement by Joe and the purported text of the pardon.
Good to hear, man.
Give me
Good to
this
see
White
you,
House one.
Claiborne.
Look at your stupid ways. The court previously noted its disapproval of this practice. I told you that back on docket entry 67. Now, the president's statement illustrates the reasons for this court's disapproval, as representations contained therein stand in tension with the case record. Okay, so Joe Biden's statement seems like it's the opposite of what we found in this case. And what's curious is the judge is now going to shred the pardon, and he's also going to question the constitutionality of the pardon because of a technical legal error that he'll explain. For example, President Biden asserts that Hunter, Biden says, quote, was treated differently. The judge is sitting here going, what? Am I correct? He was treated differently from others who were, quote, late paying their taxes because of serious addictions. Implying, says the judge, that Mr. Biden was among those individuals who untimely paid taxes due to addiction.
He never paid
Biden
them.
says, will you leave my son alone? All right. He was on crack.
No, it'll be in Detroit
Addicted,
tomorrow for
so
Thursday Night Football.
He should be excused because he was an addict. Other addicts don't get charged for not paying their taxes. But guess what, the judge says?
Yes,
Wrong,
they do.
Okay?
All the
He is
time.
not, in fact. In his pretrial filings, Hunter himself admitted that he was severely addicted to alcohol and drugs all the way through May 2019. Now, upon pleading guilty to the charges in this case, Biden admitted that he engaged in tax evasion after this period of addiction by wrongfully deducting as business expenses items he knew were personal expenses, including luxury clothing, escort services, and his daughter's law school tuition. Maybe she's going to come work for him. So he deducted his escorts.
Well, you can't deduct escorts?
When
Damn it.
He was allegedly off drugs. Okay. And Biden admitted that he had sufficient funds available to him to pay some or all of his outstanding taxes when they were due. But he did not make payments towards his tax liabilities, even well after.
Yeah, they got lucky and played them there early in the season.
Spent
So
large sums of money to maintain his lifestyle
before it got too cold.
because he likes hookers.
It'll be cold in
Now,
Detroit,
according to
but
the
warm
president,
inside the
no
Ford Field.
reasonable person who looks at the facts of Mr. Bite Hunter's cases, Joe said, no reasonable person can reach any other conclusion that Hunter was singled out because he's Joe's son.
Hey, look what's right.
The
Oh
judge
shit!
says, what? 2 federal judges expressly rejected Hunter's arguments that the government prosecuted Biden because of his relationship to Daddy.
Yeah, it's
Citing
supposed to be
both-
highs in the
And, by the
20s
way,
tomorrow.
The president's own attorney.
Look at that, we have sheets here now.
The Department of Justice personnel oversaw the investigation leading to the charges. In the president's estimation, this legion of federal civil servants, myself included, says the judge,
yeah, new
are
CEO.
reasonable people. Judge is not happy. Now, in short, a press release is not a pardon. The Constitution
Sheets
provides
has no C and has a Z
broad
at the
authority
end.
to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses, but nowhere does the Constitution give the president the authority to rewrite history. Loser. Although Mr. Biden attached a purported copy of the pardon, the copy is not substantiated by an authenticating declaration, and the rules in California require that. So the court is left to assume it is a true and correct copy.
Yeah, I'm pissed at him too.
Now, Mr. Hunter declares...
I've only been there.
accept the
I've known
fact
it's been open for a couple of
that
months now. I've only been there once, and they pissed me off, and I walked out, left everything on the counter.
with prejudice and
Said y'all
adjourn
could
all
fuck
further
off.
proceedings in this matter. It says dismiss. What? Now, the government, treating the notice as a motion to dismiss the indictment, asserts nothing requires the dismissal of the indictment in this case. They say no, you should terminate the charges against Hunter. Now, neither party, writes the judge, has provided...
Yeah, they do
the
overcharge for
authority
everything. I mean, it's
prescribing
convenient, but
procedural
I'd
mechanics
rather have
for
fucking
clemency.
Speedway.
And neither
You could get just about any the same shit at Speedway. You can't get the shakes and stuff, but they have a pretty decent grill there too. Speedway's, I guess it's Speedway / 7-Eleven now.
Will be the same. Now, further, this court has not even gotten the pardon yet from the appropriate executive agency, and so we direct this clerk to get the actual pardon. And once the pardon is formally received, that will result in a termination of the case. We are going to terminate the proceedings without expressly dismissing the indictment. Okay? Not dismiss. Pending the execution of those procedures, the court vacates the sentencing hearing. Now, subject to the following discussion. Look at this. The court assumes the pardon is effective and will dispose of the case because the Supreme Court has long recognized the nearly unlimited
Yeah, we're still
nature
15
of
minutes from
pardon
home.
is massive. But the clemency warrant pardons Mr. Biden. There's a little technical problem with this here. It pardons Biden for those offenses against the United States.
You would think we'd have more marathon. We have a couple around here, but I mean, literally one of the big refineries here in Toledo is a marathon refinery.
January 1st, 2014. Look at this. Through December 1st, 2014.
But we don't have that many around here. We used to have a ton of
Including
BPs.
charges prosecuted in this case. But what's interesting is the president
Their name has been
signed
Muds
the
ever since the
on December 1st.
big spill in the Gulf.
Because the period, the warrant may be read to apply prospectively into the future to conduct that not had occurred at the time of the execution, exceeding the scope of the pardon.
No, Marathon's their own thing. They might have bought Exxon, I don't know, but
Joe Biden came
yeah,
out
Marathon's
saying
been their own company for the longest time.
Everything on December 1st. December 1st.
They have a headquarters down in Findlay, Ohio, too.
According to Joe's document, committed a crime after.
Yeah, Marathon's
Joe
been
Biden
around
was
forever in
pardoned.
these parts anyway.
And so that's illegal. So maybe the pardon, as written, is invalid. However, the judge says, under the canon of
Dirty's kidding.
prospecting around here. Now,
Dirty wants something without any electronics.
because no party is challenging this man, will be.
No,
The
more like
you
fuck Buttigieg.
indicating the presidential intent of the party applied in this case, even if the party
Fucking $5 billion, and he opened up 7 charging stations.
This judge is not happy.
Yeah, they've been around forever.
Saying that Hunter is a liar and his father is a liar. Hunter admitted after he pled guilty to a nasty trial with other stuff that he aired out was deceived. He said that he was an addict, so he needed a pardon, but then he told the court, I wasn't actually an addict, I was just paying for business expenses. So judge calling him out, calling the president out, upset that the president is diminishing and slamming multiple judges, saying Hunter got unfairly treated. This judge has seen actual people who are unfairly treated and is taking it personally. Saying
Gas
that
the fire.
the undersigned has been smeared by the president. So, fitting end to the pardon. We're very happy to see that in both cases,
Need an EMP-proof car.
not dismissed, they were terminated. So pathetic Hunter Biden, a grown man who had his daddy come in and pardon him for offenses that he committed not long ago, who's been in and out of rehab his whole life because he's a professional crackhead, which is a thing. Different than somebody who's like recovering or recovered, which is retarded. He is now going to have his both cases terminated for the rest of his life, not dismissed, and we'll be here to make sure it's mentioned every time it comes out. All right, and so a couple reaction clips to this. Here is Chuck Schumer responding to this, not wanting to answer any questions about the old pardon power. Chuck Schumer is usually quite talkative, but not today.
Yes.
AC4, welcome. We're almost home. 8 minutes away.
As I said, I got nothing for you on that. Nope. Thank you. I've got nothing for you on that.
But the question is, you talked about January 6th pardons. This is a playbook for incoming President Trump. Isn't this a problem? Did he not establish a bad precedent for pardons?
I got nothing for you on that. Any other subjects? Yes.
All right, so pathetic Democrats don't want to talk about their lying candidate, and they realize how bad this is for them. Here was a little bit of Face the Nation having a debate about this. They're saying, you know, the pardon is now going to cause Trump and his team to have a bunch of opportunities to say, see, we told you so.
Has sucked up a lot of oxygen from the president's historic trip to Angola, and it's not like he's not hearing the questions, I believe. Are you surprised that he hasn't taken any?
No, because this is what he does. He issues controversial decisions or makes controversial decisions and then manages to keep himself away from
Yeah, but you got to hook it up to a compressor. I seen it. They're tiny though, man. I mean, for them to be useful, they're so light.
I know about this. He made clear in that statement. I hope the country can appreciate.
I've actually seen that.
Essentially, that he's a father.
Tata Motors out of India. Isn't that who owns Jaguar now?
Presidential power that exists for him, and decided that amid what's coming next, or at least what Donald Trump says is coming next at the Justice Department and the FBI.
So this can company that used to be here, they used to do the slim cans. They're going to be a fly bar distribution center now. Fly bar toys.
Served this 4 years. People will think whatever they want. But I remember what he said in December 1972 when his wife was killed and his 2 boys were in the hospital. That he really seriously considered stepping down, having just won that race at the age of 29, saying Delaware can get another senator, but these boys can't get another father.
Yes.
I think he knows.
Yeah, fly bar toys. They do like pogo sticks and the non-electronic toys. Like the little plastic trucks and stuff. I guess some of them are like the motorized ones. But if you look them up,
the issue.
It's going to be a distribution center for
There's
him.
also what he has said to the public.
Yeah.
They're out of New Jersey,
You mentioned, you know, Trump's team is now
over there by
and I anticipate that will just be the first of many times
Jody.
they point to Biden's decision. Are Democrats worried that this is going to give Trump a lot more room to do things like this?
Worried, terrified, pissed off, concerned, realizing they have little to stand on now after spending the last several years arguing that they were the party of responsibility and rule of law that would never do something like this because the president says he won't. Well, they just snatched the rug out from under them. And it's going to make their arguments ring a lot more hollow. And so they've got to come up with a new way of attacking
Adult
Trump
toys.
and all the things that he may try
Well,
to
I
do.
mean, some of their toys adults can use, but
enriching himself and his family or his close friends by nominating people in his family to serve in key roles. Because at this point, all the Republicans need to do is turn around and say, yeah, but he said he wouldn't do this, and now he's doing it.
Well, before
Yep, and
Bill Rudd.
get the rug pulled out from under them very badly, and we're trying to figure out what to do about it. Since Joe Biden gave them the worst party gift ever, as he continually and slowly dismantles what's left of the Democratic Party. We appreciate Joe Biden. He's done a great job for the Republican Party, the best president for the Republicans, and Team MAGA that we've seen in a long time. Here's Representative Kat Kamak. She's over from Florida with her take.
There's a lot of activity happening. In the conversations that I've had in the last 24, 48 hours with colleagues, I've had a general sense from people that he is a father. But my response to that has been, that's not love. This is enabling. He has gone from commander-in-chief, one of the weakest we've ever had, to a trafficker-in-chief through his open border policies, to a liar-in-chief, how he has said that no one is above the law, which of course we know is not true. His entire administration has been clouded in secrecy and a lack of transparency, certainly no accountability. When you love someone, you want them to be able to help themselves. And this unconditional pardon for crimes that he may or may not have committed, that is not love. That is not doing anything but enabling him to actually continue leading a life of debauchery. And of course we know, because the Hunter Biden laptop is real, not Russian disinformation, we know what he is capable of. So not only is it a slap in the face, but every time that someone has stood up and said he's going to be someone who's he's above board and all about the law, it's a lie. He said he would not pardon his son, and he turned around and he did. It is a slap in the face to every single person, and quite the shame.
Yeah, and Democrats do that a lot. They've lied a lot this last 4 years, multiple times to multiple people, and they are paying the price for it. But there is, for some reason,
Wife's just now on her way home.
Unfortunately,
She's about an hour away.
Love being on to. They'll just continue to support Joe Biden, say he's amazing, and this is all Trump's fault that Joe Biden lied to their faces. So Hunter Biden now retires into the sunset with both of his cases terminated. We'll see if the Republicans dig into this any further, whether there'll be any House investigations that move forward or not. I have my doubts about it. I think that the Republicans are largely going to move on.
I will.
We'll see if they do or not.
She's still mad at you for kicking her ass so bad.
On this stuff, I do think there should be repercussions for the lawfare, for the DOJ.
You're supposed to take a dive.
Of the prosecutorial power to protect Hunter.
You moved her out of the playoffs now.
People like Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, come in and do a story.
Well, I'm almost home. I'm like 1 minute away.
EEK.com. Stacy on the right.
I'm Stacey Washington, triggering the left every evening, 9 p.m. to midnight. The best 3 hours of your day.
Shit, all you needed was Saquon Barkley. He's definitely come alive. No, she had. I mean, if she'd have had her best lineup in, she'd have been competitive. But she went with just the recommendations, and the recommendations didn't work out for her. So I don't feel bad.
City are on the lookout for a gunman who shot and killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in a brazen attack in Midtown Manhattan. New York City Police Chief of Detectives Joseph Kenney describes the suspected shooter.
The shooter appears to be a light-skinned male. He's wearing a light brown or cream-colored jacket, a black face mask, black and white sneakers, and a very distinctive gray backpack.
Police have not yet established a motive for that attack. Speaking at the New York Times,
That wasn't an attack, that was an assassination.
Board Chairman Jerome Powell says it's vital that the Fed is free of political interference.
That gives us the ability to make these decisions.
Hey, good chatting with all you guys too.
Americans at all times, not for any particular
I should be live much more tomorrow.
outcome. We're supposed to
I just wanted to
achieve maximum
pop in real quick on my way home from Michigan.
all Americans.
You guys have a great night.
Out of politics complete.
Powell was addressing
Peace.
about President-elect Trump's numerous public
Love ya.
promises of